So we are here, and I'll flip the camera over in health sciences with Lara Peck to make a presentation about the program. It's a pretty busy day in here, but I'll let Lara. Lara, you're doing a presentation? Oh, okay.
No, I forgot. Sorry. I forgot to do
We'll let Lara tell you all about that. Hang on, let me flip the camera over. You're on.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me this evening. Mr. Farr introduced me, but I can give you a little bit more information about myself. Are you all okay if I sit down? Actually, is that okay? I know most of you. I think I know Ashley. I know Bob.
Lois Rose.
Hi, Lois. Nice to meet you.
And Desiree.
Very nice to meet you. So I'm Lara Peck, the health sciences instructor. This is my 4th year, I think. Well, yes, 4th year of instructing at RVTC, and it's been a great journey. So I did make a presentation for you all with some of the highlights of my program and just some exciting things that are happening. And I'd like to share that with you. This was just to welcome the Tech Time folks, but my credentials, if anyone is curious, I'm not a nurse. Typically, this role as a health science instructor is traditionally filled by a nurse. That seems to be common across most of the CTE programs that offer health sciences, but it's been very interesting, and I think Mr. Farr could speak to this, that our nurses are needed on the front lines. So you're finding that a lot of the nurses are going back to bedside nursing, especially during COVID. They were either leaving or flocking. There was a little bit of both. I think it's getting better now staffing wise, but what I've seen with my colleagues across the state is a lot of us are not nurses. So, local CTE health science programs are being led by instructors that are respiratory therapists. That's up in Riverbend, an MA, medical assistant in Hartford. You have EMT programs. So it really is interesting to kind of see that instructors are coming from all sorts of healthcare backgrounds. And I think that might be a plus for students because they're getting that exposure to careers that aren't just nursing. I think traditionally we think health sciences and CTE is nursing-based programs, but we're kind of opening it up for students to see and interact with other healthcare professionals. Health sciences by the number. I did this slide last year and I updated it for you all with some new data, which I think is pretty exciting. So number one, that is the addition of one fully licensed, almost, CTE instructor here at RVTC. That's me. So I just finished all of the requirements to become fully licensed with the Agency on Education. The last big thing, thank you, is really turning in your portfolio, which is all of your evidence of all of the coursework, all of the activities and learning that you've done over the last 4 years to demonstrate that you're competent to go out and educate students. So mine was like 60 pages long. It probably had over 50 to 60 hyperlinks embedded in it with documents. And it was really I don't love-hate relationship with it, but it was really something to be very proud of. And so I heard right before the holidays that all of my evaluators had passed it and I did quite well on it. And now we're just a little bit of a waiting game where I think our director, Amy Bowen is her name. She's working with AOE to make sure we've got everything in. And so I don't have to put it on hand, but I hope to in the next couple months. 3.5 is the number of years I've been in the position. Exciting number 37, current enrollment in health sciences, including the intro. So if you think about it, we can have up to 16 students in the program. So this is level 1, level 2, and intros. And, this year, I think I had 16 in level 1 and 2 on the wait list. And I actually accommodated them. And I think a couple of them, it didn't work out. One of us from a set of homeschool transportation was concerning, but my feeling is that there is momentum. I think that we're getting busier, we're getting more full. And I've definitely in the short time that I've been here have seen my numbers increase. 6 and 6, the number of dual enrollment college credits that I offer, 6. So students leave my program with 6 college credits and having earned 6 industry recognized credentials. So that feels good. I know Perkins has some requirements around that, and I think that I exceed those. We need to be giving college credit and or a tier 2 IRC, and I think I'm exceeding that. So I feel pretty good about that.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, students get something. They definitely leave with many things, but certainly those college credits and IRCs transfer into, real life benefits. So maybe they don't have to take as many classes at college. We kind of, defray the cost of their tuition by offering them some college credits at no charge. They can go out and work. They get their LNA. They can graduate and go out and work immediately. 3 is the number of new, I put new sort of not in quotes, but newer beds. We had 2 donations of hospital beds from Valley Regional, so one of our partners, Valley Regional Hospital, and we actually purchased a new bed. Thank you, Mr. Barr. So now we're fully equipped with well-functioning, safe beds that students can work in our lab, hospital simulation.
Our old ones had to be 30 to 40 maybe years old at least, right? Yeah.
They were functioning. The concern is when you're working with the patient, you need to make sure that you're raising the bed up to a safe working height for yourself. So it's really about your own safety, protecting your back. So we were able to use the beds, but they didn't raise up and down, and that was concerning because we're trying to educate our students on protecting themselves. Back injuries are the number 1 injury that most healthcare workers experience, especially around nursing. Lifting something's too heavy, trying to move a patient by yourself, that sort of thing. 29 out of 32 are the current requests I have for enrollment for health sciences level 1 and level 2 next year. So that's really great news. I know Mr. Farr sent around a message for us to try to see if our level 1s are coming back. So I think there's 2 that they just haven't done the application. They verbally committed. So that probably is going to be 31 out of 32. So 1 spot open next year already. Yeah. So that's the first time I've seen that in like 3 years. 4 or 25% of my level 2 students last year or beginning of this year actually had to drop my class. We've talked about this because they enrolled in early college.
And that's really an agency of education policy that we're trying to get reversed. I've talked about it in meetings, and I talked to all 4 of those students who left, and they all said it would have been nice to have the option to do both. They wouldn't have been able to do fully both, like take 5 college classes in this program, but they would like to take 3 classes in the program, something like that. But the flexibility doesn't exist within current agency of education policy.
Before that came to bear, I think in the last year or 2, I did my first year have students that did both and were successful. My initial reaction to that was I was thinking that maybe the concern on AOE's part was that students would not be able to handle the rigor or the sheer volume of college coursework plus participating full-time in a tech program. But that, to my understanding, wasn't the reason that decision was made. But those students that did both that year were extremely successful. That they found that balance and I think had a benefit by being able to do both. So I put that in there just because I think what that did is that meant my 13 students I had last year pared down to 7. And for a program that maxes out at 16, that's a good chunk of your students. And these are all students that certainly have grown together and, still, they miss each other. They still come back and visit. 100% is the 7 out of 7 students, those level 2 students, passed their state of Vermont LNA licensure exam on January 22nd.
Woohoo! That's
So
awesome.
that was amazing and very exciting for them and exciting for us. And we're very proud. And it's a great group of students. So feel really good about where we're at with the program.
Sorry, can you go back to the previous slide? Maybe you just said this, the 30 students enrolled in 6.
Sorry. Yeah, the HOSA, and that is our CTSO, our Career and Technical center student organizations. So
Okay.
yeah, CTSOs are something that Tech Ed offers. So I think Mr. Harmer's got Future Farmers of America. Jen Cummings has FBLA. We do HOSA, which is HOSA Future Health Professionals, and we have 30 students enrolled in that. We're getting ready to go to our state leadership
And
conference on Friday.
the Dave Clark question, what's your gender breakdown?
This year, I can't do the percentages
No, but I
off
mean,
the top, but out of 16 students, I have 2 males.
okay.
Yeah, 2 males.
And then just one more, and then a comment, whatever. Once upon a time, this program was able to go past the 32 because they had an aide. So that's something all of us maybe should think about if you go past that.
Sure.
We want to be able to serve as many students as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would certainly be open to that if that was something that was.
Yeah. Lara has been open to taking a couple more, because there isn't a hard cap at 16, but we also want it to be workable. And then I think if we went any more than 18, it'd be a little bit too much.
Yeah, of course.
And I always think too, budgetary wise too, because we do a lot of hands-on. We do need more supplies for
Yep.
labs and things like that. So you also think as you expand your enrollments, you're looking at the need for more supplies. And some of that, maybe it's not going to break the bank, but I can look at needing, things that are definitely going to use some budget. So that's what I think about it too, is sometimes just putting it in that context. What else do we need to not only support the students from a teacher standpoint, but also making sure they're the supplies and equipment so that they get a good experience with learning.
Great, thank you.
So my overview, I won't belabor this, but I did share this last year. This is something that I share with students that are coming to visit. And it's just a program overview because I tell my students that this is something that your parents, if you're thinking that you're going to join health sciences, your parents are going to want to know, what are you going to learn? How many credits are you going to get? What are your opportunities while you're here? And I just like them to leave with a good summary of what being part of Tech Ed really means, other than coming over here and getting the benefit of the vibrant place that it is and all of the opportunities that come up. But what does my program specifically offer? Because I know I'm working with my own son trying to select high school classes. And sometimes you're wondering how much do they include parents? Or what's that communication like? And I know parents are looking for that kind of information to have good conversations with their students about what that means for them. So I like to include that. This is the stuff I'm really excited about. I feel like probably the crown jewel on my year this year is really, upping the relationships with our industry partners. And that's been more from them than me. I've been wanting to have more connection with our local hospital organizations. I think truly coming out of COVID and all that meant, not being open to having students visit and shadow, then looking at, maybe being short-staffed and could we really support students that are coming to shadow or do a work-based learning experience with us. So for whatever reason this year, there's been an amazing shift where all of the partners out there are like, bring it on. And that's been really exciting. So just to highlight a few of those, Dartmouth, they have a Workforce Readiness Institute, and that's been pretty strong over the last 3 or 4 years. But what they're doing now is what they're calling youth engagement programming. They've got under 18 job shadows. So previously they were really less open to having students come in unless they were over 18. They've put some things in place to support our younger students, and that's been really exciting. We've had students go up there, experiential days, internships, paid or unpaid. They even have a job called a healthcare operations support assistant, where they're really marketing to high school students to come in and actually you're sort of a gopher. You're going to bring linen to the OR. You're maybe going to bring a cart down to dietary. You arrive ready for the shift and they're going to just put you and deploy you where they need you. And what a great way to get exposure to all the healthcare areas in a hospital and figure out which one's exciting for you maybe. Springfield Hospital has really come through on job shadows. I'm going to talk a little bit about our work-based learning opportunity that's really new. Matascutney's offering experiential days, Valley Regional is offering job shadows, and North Star, this is new for us this year. They're opening up to job shadows. So what's nice is most of these facilities are all inpatient, so students are getting an idea of what it's like to work in a hospital. But North Star is giving us the opportunity to look at what it looks like in an outpatient setting, like when you go to see your doctor, when you're gonna go get, you may have vision. They do behavioral health. So those are some opportunities that maybe for a student that's not sold on being in an actual healthcare facility would rather work with patients that may be in that outpatient setting where patients aren't admitted. So that's really exciting for us too. This next slide is a little busy, but I just want to highlight some of the information. So like I mentioned, the increased job shadow opportunities. Another really exciting initiative from River Valley Community College. And this was a Facebook post that they made maybe a month ago. They're a great community partner. They're inviting our students in that have an interest in any of their programs, and they're actually letting the students sit through a lecture in a lab. So we had 3 students go over to the respiratory therapy program. They sat through a real college lecture, and they got to go with their freshman students, and they got to go and spend time in the lab, respiratory therapy. Then we also had another 3 students do it for radiological technology. So our rad techs, and another 3 students did that. Really open. The professors and instructors there are welcoming the students. It was a great experience. It's something we have never done before, and I think it worked out for us and them. So we look to do more of that in the future. I think we were a little bit of a maybe guinea pig for them. So they felt good about it, and they're open to doing that with several of their programs. So that was really very exciting. We really are gaining traction in an invested partnership with Springfield Hospital. Lori Perfada is their chief operating officer and chief nursing officer. She wears both hats, and she comes from up north. She did, I think, Copley Hospital. She was affiliated with them for some time and was really had a strong partnership with Green Mountain Tech up there. And about a year or 2 into her tenure at the hospital, she said, I reached out, she reached back out. Not timing wasn't ideal, but we finally connected, and she's like, how can we work together? Like, she's very open to let's build a partnership. So much so that she sort of plumped Sue Pollard, who is the director of adult day program, and said, Sue, would you want to be the LNA instructor for the tech? Oh, maybe. Sue, she was our instructor for those 7 students, loved it. Great working relationship, she and I. She felt so good. She felt rejuvenated in her nursing career, loving it. Think she's coming back. I know she's making some decisions for herself, but that worked out really well and has given me hope that we can really build a stronger, even stronger partnership. So right after that was done, there's some new leadership at the hospital in nursing. So we've got Casey Ashworth, who's the nurse manager on the inpatient care unit, and Becca LaPointe, who's the assistant chief nursing officer. They're really ready to take students. So these LNA students are now invited to do a full work co-op with them. So we set a minimum of 4 hours a week. They can miss tech time because they're doing work experience. Excitingly, and this is what I feel really good about, is look at this. This is the best thing ever. Look, here's their website for jobs. Check it out. LNA Care Aid at the Adult Ed RBTC Work-Based Learning Program per diem, and LNA Inpatient Care Unit RBTC Work-Based Learning Program per diem. So they're offering 4 positions right now, and this honestly came together in a flash. So we're feeling it out, seeing where it's going, and we already have 1 student who put her application in and is getting ready for an interview. And this is it. Maybe we turn this over in 2 weeks.
No, they've been very intentional about working with us on all levels, yeah. Yeah.
It's really, like, this is what they want to do. They really, really want to support us, and I mean, it's a mutual benefit, right? I mean, they're hoping that they can build some interest in employment from individuals that are from our community, and, you know, we're interested to get our students some experience and those such things. I think, yeah, I think that sums up this slide pretty well. Summary, and then I'll let you guys go over and meet the tech time students. I think that we've got strong enrollment trends, strong community partners. Last year with this group, I did touch on the Perkins accountability measures. Those are all good. Mr. Farr, did those come out annually? Like, are we?
This latest batch is the agency's trying to get their data together, but all indications are this program will be just fine and exceeding now.
I think it's 2-year. I think the data we had last year was for 24, but the accountability data was from 22. So that usually it's about 2 years.
Well, it's not supposed to be that long, yes.
Curious about that because I was looking for the most recent stuff. I'm obviously an invested, dedicated instructor. I'm still here. I got my license. I'm feeling good. And looking to the future, I'm really hopeful for continued collaboration with the hospital to really sustain a consistent LNA instructor and get our students those work-based learning opportunities, which we have not had previously. Can we keep our early college enrollees?
We're trying. We got the whole tech center nation in Vermont or behind that one.
And experiences with our students. That's what students want, is they want to know what it is. We're in a classroom setting, we're even in a lab to learn, but really to be able to get in and hear from the professionals that are doing the job. See, smell, touch, feel, do all of those things that they can do to really find out, is this a good fit and is this for me? And then just continue with our recruitment efforts. And that's a great segue into tech time. I've never done tech time before. This is my first time. So
We choosely try to not push newer instructors who are still doing coursework into it, but.
So Kelly said it's your time. No, she really didn't. But it's middle schoolers, right? So we have six to 8th graders. Most of the folks here, I have 7, are coming from Green Mountain, Springfield, and Floodbrook. We have Floodbrook kids over, and they're getting to do hands-on stuff. I'm partnering with Amanda Richardson, who's the director of healthcare, health careers exploration at AHAC, Southern Vermont AHAC, and she's doing virtual reality with them right now. So they're wearing headsets that have them exploring different careers. I think they're in on a surgery, a pharmacy compounding, one more, maybe there's an x-ray module too. So do we want to take?
Let's go take a quick peek, yeah. We got a little time.
Great job.
Yeah, it's been a long day, so I'm sorry if I feel a little scattered, but I thank you for your time very much. Come on over, we'll just kind of take a walk through, I think. Please excuse the middle room, this is the storage, and you're working, right?
Yes.
Yeah, coming to work.
How's it going?
Yeah.
Hey, John.
So they're gonna just take a walk through. We wanna kind of be careful with our.
They can't see you. It's on.
Yeah.
Why?
I was gonna say,
Oh, we'll just-
maybe,
We are people. You are done.
and this is our workstation, kind of clean our room. We did some PPE donning and doffing tonight, and we did a little icebreaker. This is our first class together this evening, and we'll be together the next 3 Wednesdays. And now we're just doing a little career exploration with the VR headsets that Amanda graciously brought in for us.
Well, excellent. Thank you.
All right. Okay, 2 minutes to speak. You're welcome.
So we'll shut it down here and we'll see you downstairs at the meeting. Thanks.
Okay, it's 5:02. Many thanks to Lara Peck and a great presentation up at Health Sciences. And it was cool to see the kids from Riverside, well, from Riverside, from Green Mountain and Budbrook and Riverside
Yeah.
upstairs doing tech time. So do we have any changes or additions to the agenda?
We do not.
Any public comments? Seeing and hearing none, the consent agenda would take a motion to accept, please.
So moved.
By Lois.
Second.
And seconded by Jess. Anything on the consent agenda?
No, just enrollment in 2 ways is really positive. We have 16 more students this year than we did last year at this time, which is again backfilling the bad semesters that we had from the pandemic, which should be, we got one more count and then we're clean of the pandemic, but it's good. We're 16 ahead. And then we have 230 applications this year for programming next year. Last year at this time, we had 146. So we'll be getting through the first round of junior applications here in April, no, March. So, and then it kind of settles off as we go through the March and April to exactly where we end up. But we have a lot of interest. And we have a $100 more surplus, $883 over what we had last, so you're gaining on it.
Good, good. Any questions for Scott on anything there or within the consent agenda? Okay, those in favor of accepting, please raise hands or say aye. And anybody opposed? Thank you. All right, old business, VTVLC.
Yes,
Ashley.
thank you. Go to my list over here. So starting with our financial report, just again, a thank you to Nancy and Christine. I see Christine on the screen. She keeps us on track along with Nancy. We are currently on target, actually with a potential surplus due to an increase in our custom projects. As mentioned previously, we are supporting schools that have teacher shortages and as well as our home study enrollment. But other than that, everything else has remained the same. So there's no big changes for our finances.
Steady on finances is always a good thing.
We try. It's not me, it's Christine and Nancy that make sure that we are. So we appreciate the work they do. Just as an interim director's report, I will be honest, the last month has been a very busy month for VTVLC. So as you can see in the packet, we did celebrate our 100th day of school, which sounds very exciting. So that was on February 12th. The other piece that is in this document as well is we finished our mid-year report, and I look forward to sharing some highlights of that with you. The next big piece, and we talked about this today at our staff meeting, is that it's March Mammal Madness Month. This is an incredible project. Beth Rondandi, our middle school science teacher, actually leads this project, and this is the first time that we're seeing more than mammals in the March Mammal Madness. So there's a fern that has made it in. So it's really kind of exciting. They actually drop the animals into an environment, and then they don't battle per se, but they see which animal is going to survive. And I will say Beth Rondandi has won many years in a row, so we're all trying to beat her in this March Mammal Madness. We briefly mentioned last month that we were the recipients of the McClure Foundation mini grant. This was written by both our principals, Jennifer Hines and Jessica Leo, and we are excited to use these funds to introduce our virtual students to variety career paths. So we have some virtual workshops. We have a partnership with Vermont Works for Women, and then we're also collaborating with the Vermont Army National Guard, VSAC, and some other agencies so that students can have an experience. I may defer to Sarge. She is on screen right now, but if not, I will certainly step in. So just recently, her and Sonia Comstock returned from the Digital Learning Annual Conference, which was held in Atlanta, Georgia. It was an incredible 3-day conference. It started off with our keynote speaker, Chris Singleton, and talked about his experience. And then it followed up with 3 days of immersive book talks, research studies, panels, you name it. They were enjoying every bit of it. They are doing a presentation to the staff in a couple of weeks. There's so much information that comes in, so it takes time to digest, compile, and determine what is something, plans. What can we implement in the next 3 months? What's a year out? Or what are other programs doing? Sarge, is there anything you want to add to that?
Just if there's any questions, it certainly was a lot. I would have liked to have said I got to see a little bit more of Atlanta, but I did not because we were in the hotel, really immersed in the learning that was being presented. I went out of my comfort zone and attended a few things that were not on the special ed track, but cybersecurity and the release of the NSQOL's National Standard Quality Online Learning that were refreshed and re-released and updated, and we did a lot of crosswalk time with those.
Thanks, Sarge.
Thank you.
Our custom project update, we continue to support a variety of schools. And again, sometimes it is due to a teacher shortage, sometimes it is due to just an offering. Believe it or not, we have schools reaching us out for us for next year, sort of forward thinking. This one, I'm sure Scott's also, and you're going to chime into this, for the digital media production next year. We have done an awesome job at outreach, and that has been a whole group team effort between the Tech Center and BTVLC to gather email addresses of rising sophomores to send out all the information about the program. Thus far, and Scott, please correct me if I'm wrong, we have 5 applications. 8 applications, which is awesome. We have been really it's been a great experience, and I'm super thankful to see that those applications are coming in. Actually, when I wrote this, we were a month and a half away from the Online and Beyond Learning Conference, which is going to be held at the Snowflake. At this point, we're 36 days away. Registrations are rolling in, and we're excited to connect with our colleagues. Just recently, Ken Cowdow, who is also an administrator in the state of Vermont, came and gave an incredible presentation to Harold Vance's English 2 class. If you have not read the book Gather, I encourage you to do that. It is set in Vermont. Each one of us can find an element to connect to. It's a strong piece around nature and being out and what is it that the environment does provide to us, along with the concerns that we have, which are poverty, drug use with families. It's a beautiful book, and of course it features a dog, which, if you know me, that is my passion. So I highly recommend it. It is one of the most popular Vermont Reads selection thus far. The Humanities Council said that over 7,000 books have been distributed, and it has been a pure pleasure to read that text, and kids were very much engaged. The other component that I will share is that we have been going out for legislative breakfasts. So Jennifer Hines and Jess Leo participated in a breakfast in Swanton in February, and then Jennifer Hines did one just this Monday at Jenna's house in Johnson. It's a great opportunity for us to connect with our local legislators. And something that I got roped into very kindly by Scott and then ended up into another one. So I'm on both local standards boards, one for the regional standards board and one for the Springfield board. It's a great opportunity to help teachers and administrators have their licenses processed. And then lastly, as BTVLC is sort of looking forward, we are trying to determine in this ever-changing educational landscape what FY27 will look for us in our partnership agreements. So that is something that we've already started to. Any questions about any of those amazing things we're doing? Okay, I will keep going. The next piece on my list is the mid-year report. That is a very healthy and beautiful document. It's a combination of all of our data that we've done for the last 6 months. And Kelsey Christensen is the one who put this document together. If you are going to look at just the highlights, I highly recommend looking at page 9 and page 19. These are our demonstration of proficiency of our students in traditional classes and on-demand classes. So our students are doing very well. Page 17 highlights our collaborative diploma program growth. This year we have more students in our CDP program than we have ever had. And then page 14 does highlight our custom projects. So if you're looking for not an extensive read this evening, but just some highlights, those are the pages I would draw your attention to.
What would you attribute the CDP growth to?
I think a lot of that is done with our marketing. This year we pulled in White River Valley, which as a new CDP school, and Jamie Canardi at BTVLC have worked really hard to market in that area. We are working with Hazen for next year. They are a CDP school also, and again, it's the marketing to areas that have non-operating towns and districts. me see here. I'm gonna go back to my list. As I mentioned previously, so our Online and Beyond Learning Conference is on April 10th and 11th. It's at the Stoke Lake. We are excited to highlight all of the programs within Flexible Pathways. And the next item that I have is the letter of agreement.
Can we punt that to the end?
Sure can, I can do whatever you would like me to do. And then I think we'll punt number 6 to the end too. The restructuring.
Is that an action item?
Yes, there will be an action item on the letter of agreement.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know the letter of agreement. I did, yeah, okay, go ahead.
Okay. Where do you want me to go, Bob?
Yeah, current enrollment, and then let's go to the other two.
All right, current enrollment. So in your packet, you do see that we have an increase, and I'm just going to highlight that in a comparison. This month, we have 704 unique students in our programs, and this is up from 645 last month. And then in our unique active enrollments, we are currently at 1434, and that is up from 1393 from last month. So we are continuing to see students enroll in our classes as well as interest in for next year.
Letter?
Letter, yes. Every year around this time, we do come back to the board. We are asking for an increase in our adjunct compensation. We have traditionally raised this from $5 every year. So this previous year it was $175, and we are looking to raise that to $180 for a completed student enrollment. So this is the letter of agreement that our adjunct staff sign.
This was in your board packets, board members, and you can see this track changes on it. And as Ashley just said, the difference is basically the change from 175 to 180. Any questions or concerns about that?
No, as Ashley mentioned, that this is something we've done for the last,
5 years.
maybe even
Was
more,
that
I'm
more?
not sure, but it's really the people that are working adjunct getting a little raise based on the cost a little bit more.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask for a motion to approve that letter of agreement for VTBLC adjunct teachers for fiscal year 26 with changes as presented, including an increase for the rate of compensation, as was just stated, from $175 to $180 per enrollment for FY26. Jess makes that motion. And Kelly seconds that. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, raise hands or say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. Okay, and the K-12 restructuring, is that tied to the other item I'm thinking later?
Yes.
Yeah,
All right, so we'll hold on that for the moment.
package that, okay.
Anything else, Ashley, from your end?
No, that's it. Thanks so much for letting us share the work that we do.
Any questions for Ashley? Okay, great. Statewide CTE update.
Yeah, there's a lot starting to percolate. I basically link every document that I've got related to this, but I know I missed some of them. Was it last Tuesday, the Tuesday before? Tuesday before, I think, the Agency of Education, last Tuesday, just before crossover, kind of a tight time frame, put together their legislation for CTE and then the rest of the system. We're trying to react to that. The directors met on Monday to come up with an official response to what the Agency of Education has dropped as far as the future of career and technical education. The agency is proposing a BOCES model, a funding model change. As we look deeper into those two things, the letter that we're working on will say we're up for a governance change, but we should have a governance change that best matches the rest of the system change, and we don't know what that is. And then our dance partners who are public education, the rest of the system, we should see where they are before we align, because we've heard that there's going to be between 5 and maybe it's 25 different school districts in all the storming about what could happen in the future. And we feel like that maybe we're a little ahead of the curve and we should slow down a little bit and see how the dust settles with the rest of it. Before we say, hey, we want one school district, maybe 3 makes the most sense, maybe 5 as far as CTE But the directors are up for a change that makes the most sense to serve our state uh, in a bigger and better way. The other thing is the the funding model that's proposed is an improvement, but there is a gain and a loss, and it's basically proportional to what is happening now. That the proposal from the administration says that roughly schools will get about $13,000 plus or minus per FTE. I know I'm off on the math, but if a kid comes to a tech center, they'll only get 5,000. So that is still a version of the same thing where if more kids come to tech, more revenue is lost. And really, that is not what the tech directors have been asking for more than a decade. There are other good things in the bill, like the secretary would kind of coordinate what it takes to graduate from a high school in the state of Vermont rather than what we have now. There are many elements of the bill that the directors like. So we're putting that letter together to present it to legislators, community partners, and all that to state our case. We try to do that. We have a legislative breakfast here on Monday, which I'll present. Other documents in there. You can see my testimony. This was before the bill dropped, and we didn't know exactly what was going to happen. In my testimony, I give the Senate Education say you should look closely at what you get because while APA was contracted, was contracted by the legislature for looking at the system problems, and then they were contracted by the administration for coming up with the plan, and how closely what was identified as the problem and the solutions, how closely those are tied. We should look closely at that. I said 3% on the base rate cut is a mistake in a time when you want to grow, and it's kind of foolish that you went back almost 20 years to do a plus and the minus, and we're going to hit us all at once with that. It does make sense to reconcile it, but all at once just seems like that was mean. I didn't say it that way, but and then some of the policy changes that the Agency of Education has made. So Lara mentioned when we were up there, the requirement of kids have to choose. You got to do dual enrollment, all in, and that's it. You can't take a class at your high school, some dual enrollment or some early college or your CTE program. You must decide one or the other. And that was purely a policy by the Agency of Education. The other one is their new dual enrollment system is cumbersome for employees to implement. It may make sense as far as the Agency of Education accounting and keeping track of things, but it's a lot of work in the field for them. And the last is a new one that we just found out about February 10th, that students cannot be simultaneously enrolled in, like for instance, Vermont Adult Learning and a tech ed program, because then they're enrolled in a public school and it doesn't, supposedly statutorily, that is not allowable, which that makes no sense at all. But so we're trying, that was basically what my testimony was. Interesting, the sprint team notes. These are the raw notes from the people that represented CTE at the sprint team meetings. Now there's multiple sprint teams that are working now for the changes that may happen in our education system in the state of Vermont. The one that has met the most and more frequently is the CTE one. And for example, the special ed one hasn't met at all. So I think it depends on how can they square up their work with what maybe they would like to have as a legislative priority. And then the last piece of note, and this is stuff I shared with you and then also the staff yesterday in a staff meeting. The governor has put out what he wants to do as far as the bigger system. I think it was a 170 something page bill. The Superintendent's Association got together on the 22nd in Montpelier at the high school to talk about an alternative way of making changes in the system to start the dialogue between all the different policy ideas that are there. Um, the sense I'm hearing is there's a lot that happened late, and crossover is happening.
Next
Did they
week.
this week?
Next week, yeah.
Next week, and all of these big heavy bills saw the light of day officially last week, and that's just a really tight time frame. And how much does the politics of a lot of school budgets passed? So maybe the urgency changes. Who knows? But we shall see. There's a lot going on. I talked to a legislator yesterday, and they're feeling like we should slow it down a little bit and do it right. But so we'll see. If you have any questions about all of these documents, and maybe this is as light reading as what Ashley offered you earlier, more current events, I guess, but yeah, I'd be glad to discuss it with you. Basically, I'm discussing it off and on all day with my peers around the state and teachers, because it's what is the buzz in our world these days. I think that's it.
The
On
the
the
the only
CT.
comment I'll make is just, without being too inside baseball, Scott was right that 176 page bill got dropped last Tuesday for something that has to get out of committee by next Friday, a week from Friday. It ain't gonna happen. So however, there's gonna be a lot of noise, and there's gonna be a lot of rhetoric. The governor will be in Springfield sometime in the next month, and I know is gonna be putting a lot of pressure on to do stuff. I don't purport to know how this will all shake out. I will say, when I was at the State House a couple of weeks ago on my day job, every legislator I spoke to said some variation of, this is a weird session. Everything's kind of on hold until we get what the education proposal is. And so they're talking about potentially going as long as June. This session, just because everything else they normally deal with, like the state budget and like other things, have been kind of on hold. And again, crossovers next week. So let the games continue.
One thing I heard is that they didn't view the education packages having to be done before crossover, but you hear lots of things.
Yes,
Yeah,
you hear lots of things.
yes.
There's always a way to sneak and move things anyways, but we'll see. I'm pessimistic there's gonna be major change. I suspect it will be a study committee and maybe something on funding, but who knows?
And that would be one of the recommendations that the VSA made out of their group, that get some outside people to look at the big picture, maybe some retired superintendents and people that are very familiar with the system to give opinions on the changes on both, the recommendations on both sides. But yeah, it'll be interesting.
All right, any questions about that? I know it's clear as mud, but appropriate for the start of mud season. Okay, spend down update.
Really not much of a change. We're gonna continue to, we haven't done any spending on it, but as last month, I gave you a heads up that we lost 3 Fall Mountain students. But rather than get authorization to go further into the reserves, let's see how we end up in May or April as we close in on the end of the year, where we land as far as the budget. Again, it's very tight. Did you want to add anything, Christine? I think I was okay there. Yeah.
Yeah, you're all set. No, thank you. I'm good.
Any questions from anyone about that? Teachers negotiations, we had, I think, 1 meeting since the last meeting. We had one that was snowed out, but then we had one last week. We'll update you in executive session about that. VTVLC director search, we'll talk about in executive session. And then on to some wonderful news from yesterday. Town meeting results.
Our budget passed, a little over 70% approval rate. I'm very appreciative of the support that we get from our communities. 70% is back to roughly where we were before last year. Last year, our approval rate was 61%. Years prior, what?
64. And then 71.
Close enough, 10%. I'm rounding to 10%, but yeah. We're back to where in the ballpark where we usually are. But very, very appreciative. It speaks to the work we do every day. And we're very humbled.
Yeah, no, and same here. We are grateful, we're humbled. We are very appreciative of the support from the voters and understanding what goes on here and showing the strong support for it. So thank you, everybody. We are grateful.
Yeah, I do a little exercise where I ask other tech centers where the voters vote directly on the articles, and they're all about in that 70% range around the state. So of the ones that I've heard. We didn't finish first. I wanted to talk smack at the next meeting, but
That's why you gotta spin that number up.
yeah.
All right, any questions from anyone about that? Again, thank you to the voters of our region. It's wonderful, wonderful. Okay, RIF notifications from VTVLC, we will talk about in executive session, take action afterwards. Same thing with VTVLC teaching positions, or, yeah, because those two are intertwined, right?
Yep.
Yes.
So we're on the superintendent's report.
A little light last month because it was a short month. We finished up our outreach and recruitment season, so we had all the 10th graders from Bellows Falls here on February 7th. And on the 28th, we had all the sophomores from Green Mountain here. And students visit, check out programs, and hopefully fill out an application. The RADs continue. It's exciting. We hosted it. We went to an event in Oxford and Massachusetts. It was kind of a last minute one. We had 4 major awards, and 3 of the teams qualified to go to the National Dragonfly Aerial Drone Championships in Fairmont, West Virginia. I think we've gone 2 years in a row, and this will be our 3rd year, but we will be taking more kids this time. I don't know how many minivans will be in the caravan that go. 2 still, maybe. So we'll see. But they do a little better each time. So and you witness them practicing out there.
In the parking lot too, when I came in.
They're everywhere. Lara did mention in her presentation that our students went over and collaborated and participated in some classes at River Valley Community College. We look to grow that. Outstanding. Whalen has been very open door with us in our pre-tech program as far as kids going to one place to explore multiple careers. Our little bus has gone over there several times to get students on site. Here's an interesting one. A Springfield High grad and RVTC alumna, Marissa Stack, came in remotely to our criminal justice class. And we posted about her. She is working security down at NASA in Cape Canaveral, which is very, very cool. It's great. She gets back, and it's not surprising because she was an ambassador here and spoke very highly of the program while she was here, and was always excited about being here. So we very much appreciate her giving back. We wrapped up the first Lego League up at Weathersfield School. Kelly does that up there. That's in 3rd and 4th graders, and really, there was an interest. Mr. Gray couldn't do that one too, and Kelly did Weathersfield because they had Lego League stuff up there, and then we also had one in Springfield that Brick and SAPA worked together just because there was so much interest. We'll probably have more aerial drones in our future. Watch out, Mr. Williams. And again, as Lara pointed out, just the growing partnership with our local healthcare providers, pretty awesome, pretty cool. And she is right. We kind of had a lull after that pandemic, and places are trying to find themselves. There's been some changeover in leadership at the hospital, and they have come on full force as wanting to partner with us. So all very good stuff.
Any questions for Scott? Anything in the superintendent's report? A lot of great stuff as always. Any other business before we go into executive session?
Yeah, we would be on Was it April 2nd, we thought it would be our next meeting. Now, in years past, we've moved it because of some religious holidays. We've had supplemental meetings because of seeing applications come in. So I think that, we hold the April 2nd meeting because that's generally what we've done. There's no conflict as far as holidays.
And
And
then
then-
second one if we need to.
And a second one if we need to, and see where we end up. We do have, by contract, we have to have contracts out to teachers up by April 15th at a minimum.
That
Which
makes
falls during vacation, so we would want to get them out a little earlier if we can.
So the meeting will be on April 2nd.
On April 2nd, maybe a special meeting that following week, but we hope not. Okay?
That makes sense to everyone?
I'm unavailable on the 9th, which is the following Wednesday, so.
Okay.
just
Well, if
FYI.
I end up being the representative again, I can't be here on April 2nd.
Okay.
But I will get somebody else.
You could sound a little more enthusiastic about being the representative again.
I like being the
We'd love that.
I know, I have liked being the representative, but there's just a lot of meetings
No,
and,
I
you know,
spread the wealth.
I'm the oldest person here. It's time, you know.
We are grateful and bless you for doing.
Mhm.
All right, I ask for a motion to go pursuant to Title I VSA, Section 313, to enter executive session to discuss teacher agreement negotiations, RIF notifications, and other personnel items because premature general public knowledge would place people at a substantial disadvantage. Inviting Scott, Derek, Ashley, and Tina. Someone make that motion, please.
That's everybody.
Kelly and Andrew. Any discussion on the item? All right, those in favor, please raise hands or say aye. Anybody opposed? Thank you. All right, we're going into executive session. All right, we're back in open session at 6:01. Felt organized again here. Okay, first item of business is the VTVLC Director Search Update. And would like to ask for a motion to offer the position of VTVLC Director Principal to Ashley Newton, and to authorize the superintendent in consultation with myself as chair to negotiate a contract for the position. Motion by Jess, seconded by Kelly. Any discussion on the motion? Any last words?
Thank you.
Be careful what you wish for, right?
I know, I was just thinking that. Wait a minute.
All right, before she changes her mind, all those in favor, please raise your hands or say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Congratulations, Ashley.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Appreciate
Well
it.
done.
Okay. Next, RIF notifications for VTVLC. I would ask for a motion to do a reduction in force for 7 VTVLC elementary and middle school teachers with a 6.0 FTE effective June 30th, 2025. Would someone make that motion, please? Jess and Lois. Discussion on the motion?
Is it 6 FTEs or 7?
It's 6 compared to halftime FTEs.
Thank you.
We good? Thank you, Tina.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor, please raise hands or say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. All right, and finally, VTVLC teaching positions would ask for a motion to approve the creation and posting of 2 anticipated full-time 7 to 12, grade 7 to 12 VTVLC teachers, OTS endorsed preferred, one for science math and the other for social studies English. Did I get that motion, please? Jess again? Lois again, there you go. All right, any question on the?
Kelly was there too. I want to give credit where
My eyes
credit's
can only
due,
go,
Kelly.
you know, Only directions at once. All right, any questions on the motion? All those in favor, please raise hands and say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. Do we have any other business?
We do not.
Next meeting is on April 2nd. We are adjourned at 6:03. Have a good night,
Beautiful.
everybody. Thank you.